guys, I'm back. If you do see me glancing down or off to the side from time to time, it's because I'm looking at my little journal, and this is where I kind of just write an outline of what I want to be talking about so that I can stay on track. Otherwise, these videos would be hours long and I would be stuck editing crazy amounts of footage because I have a tendency to yap. But today we'll be talking about, or I guess exploring the idea of ourselves and what our internal world looks like, but also giving you guys the foundation to be able to dissect and understand what it means when certain things present themselves to you through how you feel and how you digest the world around you. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. I think it's a really good starting point if you are, I guess, starting your spiritual journey. To kind of set the grounds of the start of our introspection, I'm going to talk about how society influences our internal worlds and where that starts from. Really try to be open to what I am talking about and the ideas that I'm going to introduce, because it may conflict with, I guess, how you operate internally. And so I don't want that to make anyone stray away from this. We can do this together, and I am going to take you through all of the little steps. In the society that we immerse ourselves in, and by society I'm referring to the collective of us, all of us humans, and what we deem to be regular and normal and how people should behave and act in society. We're going to throw all of that out the window right now, because half of what operates in this world and what dominates this world is shit. I disagree with a lot of the ways in which you are taught to connect to yourself and connect to other people, or I guess a better way to put that would be the way we are taught to disconnect in both of those aspects. So let's take it all the way back to when you first incarnate here on earth and you're born. As a child, you know, you have your guardians or your parents, and I think the biggest influence on you at that time is your family and that space and the energy that dominates there. And so as you grow up and you observe and you learn, that creates, I guess, a sort of expectation, and it creates ideas around what you perceive life to be. As you pick up those things, when you're a child, you don't really have the ability to question. We talk about things like childhood trauma and how that follows people into their very late adult lives, and sometimes it goes the entire time with being unaddressed. It's because when you're young, it becomes embedded and internalized within you, and as you grow older, it becomes a belief ingrained in you, and it becomes who you are, who you believe yourself to be. A lot of people don't think to question why they think the way they think. It just seems like it's a part of them. That's my mind, that's me. But for the next part, I wanted to dive into a few questions that I wanted to ask you, and then we can expand on it a little bit more so that I can help guide you through what to do with the answer. One of the first questions that I'll ask is, are there parts of yourself that you feel the need to suppress? Whether that's in your internal world, but also how you operate with other people, other parts of yourself that you hide. I guess the route that is supposed to take you in exploring that in your own internal world is, what fears do you have in regards to how you show up, and what blockages still reside within you that go unnoticed or unchecked, that keep you in perpetual states of self-suppression and not being able to, I guess, be yourself, or even if there are parts of yourself that you don't want to identify with, or perhaps you feel shame about, why do you have the fear that doesn't allow you to, you know, address it and be able to work through it? Or is it something that you feel incapable of working through? The goal is to be able to be authentically yourself. But if you don't allow yourself the room to discover what that is and to release the things that are not you, which is identification with material realms, the outside world, do you feel as if you can only feel okay or be yourself if certain circumstances around you align to fit that? So with this first question, I wanted to give you guys an example of what that may have looked like in my life, so that perhaps it could help you weed out those parts of yourself. I think that an example of times that I suppressed myself out of fear was maybe most prevalent in high school and when I was around my mid-teens. I would often feel as if I couldn't assert myself in any leadership type roles, despite having the desire within me, because I felt safety in silence and minimizing myself so that I didn't come off as threatening, or perhaps I felt embarrassment of being too ambitious. And so I think that oftentimes when I was younger, I would have this constant internal monologue going on, and it would be things as simple as answering a question in class. You know, it could be as small as little things like that in your life, and it could also be as big as, you know, being around certain people where you feel, I guess, a disconnection with yourself, and you perhaps might feel a need to perform. There are also different aspects in that of what parts of yourself are you, and maybe sometimes you identify with parts of yourself and you feel comfortable expressing it, and it might still not be hitting the dot of, you know, what is most true to yourself, because it's beliefs and behaviors that you exhibit based on conditioning around your life. And that's kind of the first thing that I was talking about in terms of society kind of pushing you to fit in one kind of box, and so straying from that feels scary sometimes, and we are all vastly different, and so our ideas of what is scary and what comes easy to us is different. And so explore that within yourself. Are you scared about anything? Are you scared to be you? And are there just parts of yourself or parts of life that just feel a little bit harder because of something that is trying to come out and you're not letting it? The second question would be whether or not you have any internal judgments of yourself, or then internal judgments that you project onto others. Are you a judgmental person? If you are, that's okay. It's very natural, especially with what is normalized here in society, to be a judgmental person and to have opinions about everything and about everyone and about what people are doing with their lives and what she's wearing and what he's talking about. It's not important to you. It's so embedded within our culture that some relationships that we have with one another are strictly maintained based off of gossiping about other people and feeling the need to have an opinion on what someone's doing with their lives. Something I have to tell you about that is that every judgment that you have of another person comes from directly within you. That is a way in which you judge yourself. Whether or not right now hearing that you believe that, it's true. That's backed up by the idea that you cannot recognize something outside of yourself that is not residing within yourself. It doesn't live within you. You can't really see it. And so when you see someone behaving a certain way or looking a certain way and you feel the need to judge whether you're expressing that out loud or not, you feel as if you were doing that, you would be feeling shameful in society, and that's what people have taught you. That's what your experiences have taught you. Just because you have judgments about someone does not make them true, and it doesn't make them just. It doesn't make it good for you. Recognizing where you feel judgment and resistance to other people is one of the best ways to lean into yourself, because you see a very firsthand account of how your external world reflects within you, and how nothing is random. Everything is there to show you something about yourself, and it's your choice to take it or leave it. You can still sit in your judgment and you can still choose to live life a certain way, but with that, you have to have the acknowledgement that you are doing a disservice to yourself. Not only are you, projecting yourself onto others, but you're harming yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to be free of expression and to try out new things in certain areas, because you have this fear that it's wrong or it's not the right way to show up in society. I want to reiterate that there's no shame in recognizing these parts of yourself when you have the willingness to change it or to explore that. Don't make yourself feel bad about it. And I think that that's why it's something that stays hidden and under the covers for a long time and within us, because we feel so scared to admit that perhaps we are scared to explore those parts of ourselves, and we feel as if there are parts of us that aren't safe to show up in society and around people, and that can be people that you love as well, not just random people on the street. Sometimes we suppress ourselves around people that we love the most because it's reflective of you. Are you able to sit with yourself and allow yourself to make mistakes and allow yourself to be who you are in this present moment without feeling as if you or anything that resides within you is inherently wrong. An example for me of an internal judgment that I had towards myself was whenever I felt emotional turbulence within myself and a sensitivity to my environment, that I had to suppress my emotions and that it was not safe to be vulnerable. And so in that, I would sometimes feel as if having a problem made me the problem. And so a lot of the times I never gave myself the freedom to be heard about something, or even, I think, address it within myself. Whenever I was dealing with instances of feeling emotional pain, it brought up feelings of shame within myself that it was ultimately something that was wrong that needed to be fixed within me, and not ever communicated to, whoever was contributing to making me feel a certain way, or what relationship this was present in. A connection that I want you guys to make in regards to judgment is that when you sit in the knowing that your judgment of others is a direct reflection of the world within you, knowing that also allows you to recognize that when people judge you, it is a projection of their own internal world. When you fear judgment from others, it's because your internal world and judgments you yourself hold is threatened by their judgments. And so when you free yourself from your own self-judgment, you also free yourself from the judgment of others, because you have the knowledge that when someone passes judgment on you, it is a projection of whatever is going on and how they judge themselves. And so with that, other people's words and judgments of you carry less weight, and you can move through the world more freely without being scared of what other people think, because you ultimately know that a lot of the times it does not have anything to do with you. It might have to do with you in the sense of, it's an experience that you shared with someone, but how relevant is it to you when you have that solid knowing of yourself and the things that are true and not true? My third question for you now is, do you feel as if you are a victim to your life? What that would mean would be you feel as if life happens to you, you can't control it, unfortunate things are gonna happen, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches. And how does it feel to be within your body? How does it feel to exist here? What is your emotional state, and do you allow yourself to open up to that exploration within yourself? A good place to start with this question would just to be sitting here and analyzing, I guess, all of the circumstances in your life. How do you feel about that? Do you feel unhappy about perhaps where some of your relationships are currently, or what they've looked like in the past? When you do feel as if you are a victim to life and unfortunate things happen to you, and that's just what you're subject to, you suppress the recognition that life is very much full of opportunities, and you have a divine journey here. Every single one of us do. There's not a single one of us who has a more important purpose here on earth. And so everything that happens to you, whether it's something that brings up emotional conflict within you, or it feels like something you have resistance to, is an opportunity. And I think that there are always so many paths that you can take from whatever life gives you. For a very long time, I thought that I was cursed and that I was doomed to be here to have unfulfilling relationships and to be understood, because it was a big pattern in my life. In that way, I felt very much a victim to my circumstances, and in that, I recognized that I felt very out of control in my ability to maneuver and navigate relationships in my life. And a lot of that came from self-judgment and my inability to express my feelings, and also allow my feelings to come through within myself without me shoving them down and feeling shameful for them. If you do feel as if you're a victim to life, you will experience that over and over again, because when something unfortunate happens to you, or something that challenges you in any way, you're going to see it as something that came in to create harm and emotional imbalance within you. And that's exactly what it'll do. That doesn't necessarily have to do with the circumstance at hand. I do believe that most things that happen to us and around us are neutral, and it's just something being played out in front of you, and what you choose to do with it is completely up to you. But in that you have to have the recognition that you have the choice to choose otherwise. And that's why we're asking these questions right now, and we're exploring these things that might serve as blockages for us in our ability to recognize our sense of self and to dive deep within ourselves. My fourth question now is, what patterns do you notice in your thinking and in how you operate yourself physically in the world? With this idea, patterns and cycles, this is very important. If you find yourself constantly in a place where you are experiencing, perhaps we can use romantic relationships as an example, and you hold the belief that, oh, I just attract these certain types of people. I don't know why, I want this and I feel open to love and I'm always expressing myself in this way, but I just happen to attract these types of people. Everything that comes up with a purpose and opportunity. And so when you find yourself experiencing the same things over and over, it's kind of a universal calling to you that, oh, there's something for me to look deeper into right now. Patterns are always just cycles that need to be broken. And if you do not give yourself the freedom to break that cycle, then you will continue to experience it. It will happen with different people in different relationships in different areas of your life, and it will not go away because it's not something that is circumstantial that's happening to you. It's the world trying to communicate, hey, you have something to work on here. You have to be open to see it. But a lot of people find themselves in patterns and in cycles because those are the hardest parts of your traumas to address and to face. And so it's a lot easier in a sense and a lot more comfortable to just keep responding to the pattern in the same familiar way that you do and wherever you find safety within that. And so that might look like, staying in emotionally abusive relationships because you inherently don't have the belief that you are deserving of more, or you have the capability to remove yourself from those situations. You feel as if you can only be complete with something outside of you. And so you're never gonna have the courage to take yourself out of that because you feel as if you're losing something. Everything that you need is within yourself. There is not a single thing that a person has that you cannot possess within yourself. You're not losing anything in recognizing that the patterns that you exhibit are just cycles that need to be broken. It also allows you to move through life in a way to where you can perceive things happening outside of you as something that can aid in your own spiritual development. Patterns are very, very important to recognize within yourself because it's a habit, it's a behavior, it's a belief that you are exhibiting within yourself over and over again. And a lot of the times, these patterns and beliefs do not aid you in any way, and they're solidified within you through fear and egoic attachments to the world, and it limits how you can express yourself to it, and also the ways in which you can connect to yourself. With the questions that we've been exploring together, I want you to recognize that despite what your body might tell you sometimes in emotional reactions, or what your mind tells you and the beliefs that you hold, you do possess the choice to be different and to let go of those things, as difficult as it might feel when you first start exploring that or when it comes up. Some things feel very scary. I understand, I know, I've been through it. And it's not something where you do it once and it's done. A lot of these things need to constantly be addressed because things that reside within us and have for a long time are very deeply ingrained, and they are protected by your ego because you are identified with it. And so whenever you choose to challenge it, you're going to feel an internal challenge of yourself, and your body is going to feel threatened. So sometimes your mind, your anxiety will tell you that this is not the place to go. You cannot touch this. It feels too scary. Just move on to something else that feels more familiar and more comfortable. You have to have the courage to take the next step and to choose to explore the things that you didn't before, and the parts of you that you blocked out and you didn't address, because you deserve it. You deserve to be nurtured by yourself, and you deserve to connect to yourself and be able to have a sense of knowing that's not distorted by whatever circumstance you've been given in life. No one is exempt from this, and all of us carry it in different ways and in different capacities, but comparing yourself to other people will not get you anywhere. accept yourself as you are. We look for love and we look for acceptance in other places when even if love and acceptance did come, you wouldn't be able to feel it because you don't allow those feelings to come through in how you feel and how you love on yourself. Another big thing that I want you to realize is that the material world, it's not something that controls your internal world. It's something you allow it to do. We have to realize that a lot of people and the cycles that we see as a whole, a collective, is that people will come and they'll meet the 3D world and then they react to it. That's done through all of the things that we talked about, internalizing things, judging things, and feeling the need to put everything in boxes of, oh, I like this, I don't like this feels like me, this isn't me. That limits you so much in ways that you don't even realize because you don't have the ability to allow yourself to change and to try new things and to fail and then to get up and to keep going. When people fail in life, they internalize that experience and they let it create fear within them. And so there are parts of ourselves that we refuse to touch. It needs to be addressed. Things need to be said. Be open, be honest, be yourself. It doesn't really matter how people react to you as long as you know that you are honoring yourself. The world that we are immersed in is very complex and it challenges us in a lot of ways. It does show up in every part of our life and it will continue to do so. And so you have to be the anchor for yourself because the world is not something that you can rely on sometimes. I guess how to take these questions and these experiences and connect it in a way to where you aren't reactive and you're working in flow with life is that you have to connect yourself first. That's the baseline. That's what we're doing right now, is figuring out what's going on here. Is it a mess in here? Do we need to get cleaning? If shit is looking crazy and feeling crazy within you, your external world will absolutely reflect that. And I don't think that there's any doubt in it. I think that anyone watching this video, when you start to do that work, you're gonna notice that your external world, the 3D, and your internal world, the 5D, they're not separate. It's the very disconnection with the 5D, with the spiritual realm, that allows you to immerse yourself in the ideas of being something that you're not and being attached to ideas and feeling as if you do not have a choice in the matter or you have no freedom to explore anything outside of what you already know and what you've already confined yourself to. Instead of reacting, connect to yourself, connect to your spiritual self, connect to the 5D and who you are without all of those distractions and all of the muddiness that clouds your true sense of being. From that point, you can then create and you can, I think really bring to life something that's true to you because it's not distorted by yourself or the world outside of you that you fear. I know that when I talk about these things, it is a lot and this is not work that is done in a day. I've been doing it for years and it's an ongoing process and it never really stops because once you start the process, you continue to interact with your world through a different perspective. But in that, you also have such a widened perspective. You have the ability to see things that you didn't once before. And so that's something that you should not give up on. It's the freedom to be anything and everything that you want and to make mistakes and to learn and to grow, which is the very purpose of life, is to be able to experience it and not resist it. In removing the attachments that you have in this world, the identity that you embed within, your experiences. Once you work through all of that and continue to do so, you then have the freedom to be yourself. And I think something like that is pretty priceless. At least it is for me. And it's something that has offered me so much value, not only within myself, but how I experience the world every single day. That's about everything for today. I really urge you to explore the questions that I asked and really allow yourself to be open and receptive to whatever comes up for you and have the courage to be yourself. If you have made it this far in the video, then thank you for following along with me, and I wish you the best of luck in a process that I know can be difficult and it could be, fear-inducing, but I do promise you that it is worth it and the world is on your side. You just have to give it the opportunity to work with you. As always, I love bringing myself into this space, and thank you for watching.